Hello YouTube, my name is Daniel and welcome back to another video. This is the third video in my Jetpack Compose Notes app series. In the last video we created the Notes DAO and the Notes View model. In this video we're going to create the theme for our Compose app and the Notes detail page. So for the theme we're going to be using a super simple theme. We're just going to be taking the theme that comes with the normal Jetpack Compose app and then just making a few changes. I'm going to go ahead and copy this from the completed project. You can access this code from the GitHub in the description. The theme is going to be placed in our UI package, so I'm just going to create that now in the root directory. So right click, new package, UI, and now I'm going to paste in my theme. So the theme contains the color, the shape, the theme, and the type. The type is the typography of the app, so this contains our font family. We're just using the default font that comes with Jetpack Compose. And in the theme directory, we just have a dark color palette and a light color palette, which is exactly the same. 2 extra colors for the note items in the list, and also our photo notes theme, which just handles the change between the dark color palette and the light color palette. Now we set up our theme, we need to set up a shared composable, which will be used across all of our notes pages, and that will be our app bar. To start on this, we want to right click on the UI package and select new Kotlin class/file, and we'll call this shared. And we want this to be outside of the theme package, so we can right click and refactor and then select move. And we want this to just be in the UI package. Now that has been moved, we can remove the class as it will just be a composable. We can start a composable function by adding the composable annotation and then the function body. This should start with a capital letter. And this will be called generic app bar. This will take 4 parameters, the first being the title of the app bar, which will be a string. The second will be the method that we're going to execute when the user clicks on the icon in the app bar, and that will take a method which will return a unit, so it won't return anything. And this is the syntax to show that. And that could be nullable. Next, we have the icon, which will be a composable. So we can write @composable function, and again, this will return units. And this could again be nullable as we may not have an icon. And then we have the icon state. So that is to show or hide the icon, and that is going to be a mutable state of type boolean, and if it changes it will perform some action such as hiding the icon. The composable we are going to define is a top app bar, and inside the brackets we want to provide a title, which will be the title. And that will be inside a text widget. And we want to import the one from compose. And this needs to be inside the curly braces. Next we will provide the background color, which will be material theme .colors.primary, and we are getting that from our theme. And then we can provide our actions. The first action will be the icon button. The onClick will be onIconClick.invoke, so that will execute the onClick function if it is passed. Then we can provide the content for the button, which will be the icon composable. And that will be if icon state.value So if the icon wants to be shown, then we will show the icon. And this needs to be inside curly braces. And that is it for the app bar. To remove these errors, we just need to remove these brackets down here. And that is our generic app bar. We can now get started on the notes detail page. I'm going to create a second package in the UI directory called note detail. And a new Kotlin file inside there called note detail. And this will take a note ID as a parameter, the nav controller, which we would define in our main activity, and the instance of our view model. First off, we need to define a coroutine scope, and this will be used to collect the note details. And we can do that by running the method remember coroutine scope. We then can define our note, which will be remember mutable states of note detail placeholder. This is a value that we will define in our constants, and this is just a placeholder if we can't obtain the details for our note. So note detail placeholder, and this will be a note object. The note will be cannot find note details. The ID will be 0. The title will be the same message here, so cannot find note details. And that is all we need for the placeholder. And we just need to run this import and import it also in our detail page. So the remember block here is just saying that when this composable is recomposed, it will remember the state of this note detail placeholder, and then it can use that state to update the composable. Now we want to use that coroutine scope to launch the coroutine to collect our note details. We can do this inside a composable using the launch effect method. That is launched effect. We don't need a key or a block, we're just going to pass in true. And then we can open the function body, use that scope, and then launch. We need to pass in dispatcher because we want this to run on a background thread. And then we can call note.value equals view model dot get note, and then we can pass in the note ID. Otherwise, we will return the note detail placeholder. The get note method was a method I missed out in the last video, so I will just define that now in the view model. This will be called get note, and this will take an ID parameter, which will be an int, and this will be a suspend function, and it will return a note which could be nullable, and we just need to return db.getNoteById and pass in the ID. And now we can continue with the note detail page. So after our launch effect, we want to create a composable in our photo notes theme, and that will be a surface composable. We're going to use the modifier, so this will fill the whole size of the screen. And then we can provide the color, which will be material theme.colors.background. Inside this composable, we want to have a scaffold. A scaffold will lay out our screen, and inside the scaffold we can define common items that we will use in our app, such as our top app bar, our icons, and our fab icon. You could also define a bottom navigation if you wanted. I'll put these on separate lines. Our top app bar will be our generic app bar, and now we can provide the title, which will be noteValue.title. On icon click, navcontroller.navigate, and here we will pass our route to this page. I haven't created those yet, so I'll just go ahead and copy and paste those from the completed project. So for the note detail navigation, we'll pass in our note ID, and then this will be added to our route, so it'll be note detail /note ID. So in our on icon click, we will actually use the edit function, as this will be going to the edit page to edit our note, and we will pass the note value.id, or if that is null, then we will pass 0. The icon will be a composable, and we'll just import that. To add the image for the icon, we need to pass in an image vector. We can do this by using the image vector.vector resource method, but then we just need to pass our drawable, which will be r.drawable.editNote. Then after the image vector, we need to provide a content description, which will just be edit note, and we can extract this to a string resource by right-clicking and click Show Context Actions and extract a string resource. This will just be called edit note. Okay, it appears we already have the string resources in this project. If not, if you guys don't have it, you would just need to copy and paste from the completed project, but these are our string resources here. And we can use a string resource in Compose by just running this string resource function and passing in the ID. And then we just need to pass in the tint, which will be color.black. And then for the icon state, it will be remember mutable state of true, because initially we do want to show the icon. And that is it for the top app bar. And inside our scaffold, we want to provide a column. And this is where we'll start to actually set up the page. And you may get this error here saying content padding is not used. We're not going to be using that, so we can actually just add this lint argument to our composable. And to do that, we just need to go to the top of our composable and add suppress lint. And the name of this will be unused material scaffold padding parameter. And that should remove your error. Inside the column, first we need to make this stretch to the full size of the screen. So in order to do that, we can use the modifier. So modifier equals modifier.fill max size. And then inside our composable, we first need to check whether this note has an image. If it does, we want to show the image. If it doesn't, we don't want to build a composable for that note image. So if note.value.imageURI is not null, and we also have to check whether it's an empty string or not. So we just add a AND clause, so note.value.imageURI.isNotEmpty. And as we've already checked that's not null, we can use the double exclamation points. And if it meets those conditions, we want to add an image, and inside the painter object, we want to load the URI of our image, and we can do this by using the remember async image painter method. And inside here, we can provide an image request. And this is using the coil library, which should be in your dependencies. And then we want to access the builder and pass in the context. You can get this in a composable by using localcontext.current. Then pass in your data, which will be our URI. And that will be URI.pass note.value.imageURI. And then we just need to call .build, and that will go off and fetch our image. Content description for this will be left null as we don't know what the image could be, but this could be a detail that you could add to your notes object and then use it here. Next, we want to modify our image composable. We'll use the modifier for that. I'm going to put these on a separate line. First off, we want to fill out a third of the screen's height with the image, and we can do this by using the fill max height method and passing in 0.3, and that will fill out the first third of the composable with our image. We want to fill the maximum width, and for the content scale, we want the image to be cropped, so that will be content scale.crop. And that is it for our image. Underneath the image, we just want 3 text widgets. And this will be for the title, the date of the note when it was last updated, and the body. Just going to run those imports, and then we can duplicate this 2 times. For the first one, the text value will be note.value.title. The modifier for this, we're just going to add some padding. So modifier.padding. For the top, we want 24 dp. For the start, we want 24 dp. And for the end, we want 24 dp. And we just need to run this import. The font size for the title will be 36 sp. And then the font weight will be bold. And now for the other two, we might as well copy and paste these and then just change them a bit. So for the date text, it will be note.value.dateUpdated. The padding will be 24 on the top, 12 on the start, and 24 on the end. The font size will be left blank as we want to use the default font size. We won't be using font weight, but we will be changing the color of this, and that will be just gray, so color.gray. And that is it for our date text. The next one will be the actual body of the note, so that'll be note.value.note, and this will be 12 dp for all of the padding values. I actually made a mistake. The padding for the date updated will also be 12 dp on all sides. And then the font size for the text for the note body will just be a default. It won't be bold. And that is all we need for the body of the note. Let me just organize this a bit better. There we go. So that is it for this video, guys. In this video, we worked on the theme and created the note detail page. In the next video, we'll be starting out on the note edit page. If you have any questions, please post them down in the comments. Please like the video and please subscribe.